and welcome to the Pikeville City Manager's Report. I'm Jill Dotson, your host for today's show, along with Pikeville City Manager Philip Ellswick. It's always great to be with you to talk about all the wonderful things going on in and around the city of Pikeville, but this is our first sit-down conversation of the new year.
Yep, absolutely. It's been a few months, I guess.
It has been. So we're a month in already to 2023, but we always take the first sit down of the year to discuss the year in review. What was 2022? Go back and look at the projects, the different things that we accomplished. It's amazing when you go back and you look at everything that happened, what kind of list you compile.
Yeah, you tend to forget all the things that happened in a calendar year, but it's always good to go back and look at it and see all the things we did.
It is. Well, we're excited to see. I know you have some slides you're going to talk to us about today.
Absolutely. So, just a number of highlights that through the year is, first we started with some bridge repairs to our two suspension bridges that pedestrians use at 7th Street and at Poly Bridge. And we had both those bridges inspected just as, routine maintenance issues, and identified some issues that need to be addressed. So we undertook those repairs, and they were closed for a little longer than we liked, but I've got a lot of positive feedback about them since then, that they feel much sturdier and people feel more comfortable walking on them. So that's been a good project. Likewise, on 2nd Street, we started that project early in 2022, trying to avoid the busy retail season for those businesses downtown. And that project went very smoothly. We didn't really have any issues, and the bottom right picture there shows during construction, and that project's complete now and has been opened, and it's just really been a nice addition to the downtown area. It's much more aesthetically pleasing, much more pedestrian friendly. Some of the improvements we made as far as traffic calming have slowed traffic down through there, so it's safer for pedestrians, and it's just been a really good project that I think has benefited that area. Town Mountain Road that connects from the bypass around Double Quick to US 119, that's a major roadway for people coming to the downtown area, either the arena or maybe Pikeville Medical Center, University of Pikeville, Big Sandy Community College. That roadway gets a lot of use from people using 119. And there's improvements that need to be made there. So we have acquired both federal and state funding to improve that roadway. And over the next few months, year or so, we hope that construction will commence. The road will be straightened. We'll be adding a turn lane in the center, similar to Hamley Boulevard, to facilitate better, safer traffic flow through that area. Another roadway project we're working on is Bayard Avenue and its intersection with the bypass or South Mayo Trail near Kentucky Fried Chicken and PMC's Diagnostic Center. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic through that area connecting the various parts of Pikeville Medical Center's campus. So we've acquired some TAP grant funding, which is Transportation Assistance Program, from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to improve the safety of that crossing. So that project will be kicking off sometime this year. And then the Pike County Health Department received a grant to look at a pedestrian master plan. So we have been working on that project with them. We looked at the entirety of Pikeville and the safety for pedestrian passage, places that we needed improvements, maybe places we needed new sidewalks where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. So that plan is nearly complete. The commission will be seeing that and hopefully adopting that in the next few weeks. And then we will undergo trying to identify funding for those projects and to improve pedestrian flow around Pikeville. That's a quality of life issue, of course, and it's quality of life is a big component of economic development, and having a nice community that people want to visit, want to live in, makes a lot of difference when you're trying to recruit businesses. We replaced the track at Bob Amos Park. That's a project that had been on our planning calendar for a little while, and then finally this year we did that. So the track was closed for a while, which I realize is an inconvenience to people, but we did that in a time of the year that hopefully it minimized that inconvenience. The track is greatly upgraded from what it was. The surface is very nice. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to go up and check it out. It's been a very good project. When we constructed the Overlook Event Center, we really didn't include audio-visual equipment in there for a variety of reasons, but that has become a need since that facility opened over the last 2.5 years. So this past year, we undertook a project to improve both the audio and visual equipment in that facility. That project is done. It's now in use, and my understanding is it's been a vast improvement over what we were doing there. And then, like a number of projects, we're looking at a master plan for Bob Amos Park. And planning, while that's not all that exciting, planning is really necessary so that you make good, wise decisions when you're using taxpayer money. And we really strive to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. So planning is a crucial activity before you go about projects. So that project has been, it's ongoing. We're looking at maybe new amenities to add at Bob Amos Park, maybe new facilities that we can add or some improvements we can do to facilities. But that is our premier park in Pikeville. It receives a tremendous amount of visitors each year, and we want that to be the nicest facility that we can have. So we're undergoing now some planning studies to see what we can do there. We renovated the restrooms at Hadley Athletic Complex, and those are the restrooms near the concession stand at the football field. That had been some time since that had been done, so that renovation's been done. It's a great improvement over what was there. We also implemented new software in our administrative capabilities. So in our finance, tax, codes, utilities, we have new software, and I'll be the first to say that has not been seamless. But as all the bugs get worked out, that will be a far better program than we have used in the past. And I think everyone, including our utility customers, will be very satisfied with it. We have been working on a unified development ordinance, and that ordinance will replace our zoning code, our subdivision regulations, sediment control regulations. Our zoning code is 35 to 40 years old. And we've encountered some things in the past few years that just weren't contemplated when that ordinance was written. And through the years, we've taken steps to keep that up to date and current with the times, but it was really time for a comprehensive overhaul. So we have done that using a consultant to assist us with that. That code will be based on what other cities in the Commonwealth are doing and other states, and will be an improvement over what we've had. And one of the things with our fiber project that we're starting to see is businesses in homes, and that is not really contemplated under our current zoning code. So now we're looking at things like that. We're looking at Airbnbs. We're looking at parking regulations, tightening up the sediment control regulations, as that's had some impact on the pond with deposit of sediment in the back of the pond that has impacted it. So that's a big project. It's been ongoing for a little while, but we hope to wrap that up very soon and be rolling that out. And the picture on the right is a photo of Brad Sloan, who is our Deputy City Manager of Operations. He recently wrote a book, A Pictorial History of Pikeville, whose simple name is Pikeville. And that book is available now. He had a book signing at the Lee Avenue Library a couple weeks ago now. And it's received very popular reviews. It's available on Amazon. It's available at City Hall. It's available at the shops at 225 and local retailers. So if you haven't seen that, you should check it out. It's a very nice pictorial history of the city. Other projects that were completed or very nearly completed in 2022 include the Fiber to the Premise project. Construction began in March. That's a partnership with Intermountain Cable, and that will ultimately deliver fiber to every address in the city of Pikeville. We're currently in phase 1, and customers are actually being connected on that now. So if you are interested in that, you can go to GearhartFiber.com, enter your address, see if you're in phase 1, and if you are, you can request service. And it is a vast improvement over other options that we've had in Pikeville in years past. And along those lines, our Suddenlink lawsuit The commission determined that they were in default of their franchise, so we notified them of that. We've been accruing liquidated damages in an effort to enforce the provisions of the franchise regarding customer service and response to your calls and response to your problems. And we've been unsuccessful in getting that addressed. So we have sued them in federal court, and that lawsuit will be moving forward with the intent that you're going to get what you pay for. So that's the purpose of that. As we did our comprehensive plan, there was an identification that there is a lack of middle income or affordable housing in the city. While that's not surprising, it became a focus of our comprehensive plan, and we are working with FAHI, which is a housing consultant, to address that. And I believe we are close to having some announcements about projects that will move forward under that partnership. We undertook a water and sewer rate study and identified that our rates needed to increase to keep current with local economics. So that resulted in increased wholesale rates to Mountain Water and Southern Water, as well as increased rates for residential and commercial customers. Those rates are not meant for the city to profit on those utilities. It is meant just to break even. And with the increased cost of fuel and electricity and chemicals, it was necessary to increase those rates. And then finally, at the end of the year, we formed a town and gown commission. Those commissions are usually formed between universities and towns in which they're located, and often they're formed to address a specific problem. Maybe parking or student housing in neighborhoods. We don't have those problems, and we're very fortunate to have not to have those problems. But our commission is formed just to build the partnership between the university and the city, and we're both so dependent on the other, and we need to have improved communication and a strengthened partnership as we move forward. So in economic development, first we hired Lisa Sizemore as our business and retention manager. She's been with the city about 5 months or 6 months now, and has hit the ground running. She has an interest in learning about all aspects of economic development, and she's done a lot of good things in the time that she's been here. One of the things that we've been working on for a while is the medical industry cluster. And we completed a feasibility study and determined that it is feasible to develop that cluster impactful, or that cluster of that type impactful. So that's a partnership with Pikeville Medical Center and the University of Pikeville. And we have received $100,000 in funding, $50,000 from ARC and $50,000 from Kentucky Power, which will fund the first year operations for that project. So we are currently working with the university and PMC to identify a candidate to start that cluster and get it off the ground so we can start recruiting businesses. Appalachian Tank is located in the industrial park, and they have roughly 40 employees right now. And the commission, our Economic and Industrial Development Authority, has toured that facility on a number of occasions. And it's just amazing what they're doing there. They received some CDBG grant funding for equipment, to purchase equipment. That money will be repaid to the city over 7 years, and then it will be reinvested in economic development. So that's a good partnership as well. The commission recently adopted some hotel and restaurant incentives meant to attract new hotels, new restaurants, but also to entice restaurants to expand or to open new locations, and hotels to possibly renovate. So those incentives have drawn attention from a number of different parties, and we continue working diligently to attract new hotels and new restaurants. The Wright companies are the other tenant in the industrial park at this time, and they have occupied their building there with all of their corporate staff, and they're currently working on the manufacturing operations that will happen there. And then also Wright owns a piece of property on US 23 that they had purchased from the city a few years ago, and they've recently acquired a building permit for that piece of property. Other new businesses that opened in 2022 are the Coffee Guy Cafe on College Street, Classy Stork. The shop's at 225, which has been an ongoing business incubator for us for a while now. Saw new businesses open, Southern Designs, Leather and Lattes, Case Woodworks. Those businesses and the shops as a whole have been extremely successful in the time that they've been open. And we're nearing one of our tenants moving out, our first tenant moving out into a brick and mortar location in the downtown. The shops were opened as an incubator with that goal in mind, that a business could come in, could demonstrate its concept, achieve some level of support from the community, and then move out into its own location. And that's happening with our first tenant. Main Street program, as always, was extremely busy and had a number of great projects to the downtown. They won an Economic Vitality Award from Kentucky Main Street for the shops at 225. That's just notes the positive contribution that Main Street makes to our community. Likewise, we had a number of new bears that opened or were displayed in the downtown area. A new event in September, Hippie Fest, which was extremely successful, and I suspect will be a repeat event in the future. Then we've been working to create a creative arts district in the downtown, specifically along 2nd Street and Division Street. And we undertook a strategic plan identifying the steps that need to be taken to develop that creative arts district. We're currently between Main Street and tourism and the Appalachian Center for the Arts implementing that strategic plan and starting to see some fruits from that. This bear project is certainly part of that. The banners, the artistic banners that hang along Hambly Boulevard that were painted by a local artist are another example of the creative arts district. In the summer, at the same time these bears were unveiled, we unveiled a number of banners that kids had produced, local artists. Those were displayed in the city park for some time. So there are a lot of artistic activity happening in that district, and we expect that to continue growing over time. And then Main Street, of course, had its 9th annual Dinner in White in June, with the 10th edition scheduled for June 2023. As far as staffing, a couple of things. We hired Tanika Klein, or Tanika actually worked for the city, and she was promoted to a community liaison position where she works one-on-one with customers or citizens of Pikeville to help them solve whatever problem they may be encountering. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a city problem. The goal is to put them in contact with the appropriate agency or organization that can address their need. We also implemented a mandatory staffing policy, and I certainly don't mean that we never had any training for our staff. We certainly did, but this is mandatory for all staff that they have to complete 16 hours each year, and it has to be some training specific to either their job that they're doing or leadership or just professional development, identifying where they want to go in their career, and we're going to help them get the training to get there. So that started in January, and this is the first year we're doing that, but there's a lot of excitement surrounding it, I think, with staff talking about the things that they want to do. Then also, health insurance is a concern for every business, and the city is no different with rising costs every year. So we have gone to a new model, captive group medical insurance, and it's partially self-funded, and it's designed to save money. So we have better information about claims. Our human resource director has better information about how to help our employees with wellness plans and things of that nature in order to keep our costs down. The fire department saw lots of big changes in 2022. First of all, a new chief, Johnny Cole, was promoted to chief in October. Then we underwent a number of promotions across the department for every position. Kenny Sampson was promoted to assistant chief. Kenny's a longtime member of the fire department. He's been a fire marshal and continues in that role. Mitch Case was promoted from battalion chief to senior battalion chief, so he is the frontline supervisor for all of the firefighters and command staff, aside from the chief and assistant chief. Brent Tackett, Matt Stevens, and James Billiter were all promoted to battalion chief. Chris Allen and Brandon Hayton were promoted to captain. Chris handles environmental issues as well as safety, and Brandon is the training officer for the fire department. Kyle Taylor was promoted to a sergeant position, and then Nick Fleming and Charlie Sexton were promoted to lieutenant. So the command staff for the fire department is filled. There are no vacancies in leadership at the fire department, and that's the first time it's been that way in some time. We hired 4 new firefighters, full-time firefighters. Matthew Bowling and Brandon Osborne came to us from the city of Prestonsburg, and Casey Kendrick and Evan Kimberlin are new firefighters that started with Pikeville. Then we also hired some part-time firefighters, Brian Colefield, Justin Maynard, and Michael Tussey. And Justin had been with us in a full-time capacity and left for another position and has returned in a part-time capacity, and we're glad to welcome him back. Likewise, we started construction on Fire Station 2. Station 2 is located at Yorktown Landing on the southern end of Pikeville along US 23, right beside of Fazoli's. That is the old Fastenal location, and the renovations are ongoing now to create Fire Station 2, which will relocate from Island Creek. Patrick Bentley retired in last year in September. Packy, as he was known, had a long career with Pikeville, 27 years, I believe, and had risen through the ranks to be chief for about 4 years. So we wish him well. We still see him occasionally. His wife's a city clerk, so he's enjoying retirement and taking on a whole new realm of activities. We received some grants to purchase the breathing equipment there you can see on the left. We replaced that for our entire department. It was a $300,000 plus project. We also received funding to replace all the fire hose for the department. And we have undergone a renovation at the training center. The training center is used for a variety of meetings, for specific trainings. There was some office space in that building, and we have renovated that to create more office space to just improve the facility. In the police department, after the shooting in Allen, we identified kind of a gap in our training for tactical patrol. So we engaged a company from Indiana called Norse to do a tactical training program for all of our officers, where they learned a variety of concepts, how to enter rooms, how to clear houses, how to stop cars, that sort of thing. So in this way, all of our staff are trained in exactly the same techniques. So when they're in a dangerous situation, which they are on a daily basis, they will know how the other officer is going to interact. So it makes them much, much safer, which is our primary concern. Then we purchased some new equipment for both the police and the fire department. Each department got new side-by-sides for the different uses that they have. And then our emergency radio system has been aging and has experienced some problems over the past few years. So we have invested in a new tower and new radios in all of our police and fire vehicles. While that is not seen by the public, it's extremely important for their safety and the safety of our police officers and firefighters. So that is a significant expense, but it's just vitally important. We also added 4 new officers at the police department. Last year, Jordan Clemens came to Pikeville from Whitesburg. Brandon Martin, Justin Prater is a new officer that will be attending the academy in March. And Lexi Stambo came to us from the Letcher County Sheriff's Office. All 4 of those are tremendous officers, and we are very glad that they're part of the Pikeville Police Department. 2024 is the bicentennial, so we are actively planning for that celebration. Kathy Atkins, who is the city's director of grants, is the lead for the bicentennial project, and Sarah George is a contractor for the city, and she's assisting Kathy in that. But they are planning, along with their committee, which involves a number of people throughout the city, to have a monthly celebration every month in 2024, culminating with the actual bicentennial in December 2024. So more information will be coming about that. It's a lot of great activities and a lot of great things about the history of Pikeville, as well as the future of Pikeville. The Appalachian Center for the Arts that I mentioned earlier when discussing the Creative Arts District saw some change last year. Robin Irwin, who had been our director, and Eric Buckley, who had been the director of education since the app was formed, have relocated to be closer to home and family. And Shannon Kirkpatrick Daniels, who was our production manager, was promoted to executive director. And Crockett Ward is a new employee for the arena, and he is the director of education. They are doing a phenomenal job with the app, as well as interacting with tourism and events and Main Street to have more holistic events, I suppose, and really focused on the Creative Arts District. We underwent some master planning at the app last year as well, and it is in need of some renovation and some repair. And those are photos or renderings of what it might look like in the future. So the picture on the left will be the lobby, the concession stand. Top picture on the right is just another view of that. And then the bottom picture is the exhibit space that we currently have, how that could be improved to host other events aside from artistic exhibitions. The app's ticket sales grew by 4% last year. We had a 60% increase in summer camp participation, and that's pretty amazing because the summer camps are packed, literally. There's usually a waiting list for those. So last year we added some weeks for summer camps and saw additional participation. And then our Rudolph performance, which was a combination of kids' performance and adults, sold 100% of its tickets. And it's growing and doing well, and it's a great organization for the city. Likewise, we acquired a touring van, which was funded by the Pikeville Community Foundation and the Honorable Order of the Kentucky Colonels. And that is used as part of the Children and Teen Health Initiatives that's mentioned there at the bottom of the screen, which is funded through a partnership with the Pike County Health Department. That is two performances that are designed around Anytown is a drug performance, opioids, and Nights of the Dinner Table is meant to address childhood obesity. Also, the app is offering art classes at Myers Towers. That's funded by the Arts Council and the UK Pike County Extension. And then we were identified as a Kentucky Arts Partner with the Arts Council this year for the first time. The arena also saw tremendous growth from 2021 to 2022. Our event days, which are days that the arena is in use either for moving in an event or for a meeting or for a concert, grew from 288 to 514. That is a 78% increase, just tremendous growth in the use of that facility. The attendee number is even more impressive. In 2021, we had about 34,000 people in the arena for various events. Last year, that was 101,000. Paul Bowles, who's our GM at the arena and our Director of Tourism, is anticipating that 101,000 number growing significantly in 2023 and beyond. And then the number of national acts that we had grew from 13 to 20, which is very impressive. As I mentioned, Paul is the Director of Tourism, and last year he and Laura McCourt, the Assistant Director of Tourism, and Mayor Carter spoke to the Kentucky Legislature, one of their interim panels about tourism, about the impact of the arena, outdoor recreation, and a number of various activities. We have, the city has vacated the Office for Economic Development and moved those staff people to City Hall. And that building has been transferred to the arena where they'll be using it for event space and a visitor center. And with the growth in the use of the arena in the last year, we have undertaken a study to look at whether or not there is a need for additional convention space. We believe that there is. Phase 1 of the study identified that there is a need, and we are currently in phase 2 of that study, which is looking at site selection criteria. In February of last year, I believe, PJ Collins came to work for the arena as the Director of Outdoor Recreation, and he hit the ground running, literally. And in that time, he has created a new trail at Bob Amos Park that we call the Real McCoy Trail. And you see the ribbon cutting there on the top right. The photo on the bottom right is a new overlook that will be forming from that trail that overlooks US 23 and the Levice Fork River. Also, what has been called the multi-use trail in the past has been renamed the Peach Orchard Trail, as it is located on Peach Orchard Mountain. And we received a grant of $125,000 from the Kentucky Recreational Trail Program to resurface that trail, as well as improve the drainage on that trail. So that work is ongoing now. And finally, tourism and events. As I mentioned, Lauren McCourt's our Assistant Director of Tourism. Kevin Roberts was hired as Director of Special Events. And in 2022, they were extremely busy. We saw the return of Hillbilly Days, which was probably the biggest that we've had, and certainly the best weather that we've had. And then we also had another year of the Moonshine Music and Makers Festival. Winterfest was in the park, the city park, for the entire month of December, and we saw 1,500 plus skaters. And then we had a Christmas parade, which was the first parade we'd had first Christmas parade we'd had in a few years. So our tourism and events and outdoor recreation staff are extremely busy. Also, all of those things are quality of life issues, which are so important to the health of our community and our ability to attract business, to attract residents, and make Pikeville a place that people want to be. As everything that we do is with that goal in mind.
That is a lot of information.
It is. It is.
And I can say, without a doubt, this is going to be an even busier year. Just as you were mentioning, the numbers at the arena were going to increase, and obviously tourism efforts have really catapulted to the next level.
Absolutely.
So we're already a month into 2023, and we're already very busy. So I look forward to, I think what we need to do is every month take a little bit of time to sit down and say, this is what we did this month, this is what so we don't have all of that at the end of the year to have to culminate. Exciting times. Of course, we do want to let everybody know, as always, that our commission meetings are open to the public.
Yes, and they're the second and the fourth Monday of each month at 6.
Yes, and we will be back again next month with more exciting information.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Philip Elswick, City Manager of Pikeville, thank you so much. This has been the Pikeville City Manager's Report. Thank you so much for joining us.